All right. Whew, that was a lot. So let's just recap real quick what we did. So we took the original site, which was an HTML page and had the supporting files in this www root folder. We still have all that there. And we converted it to MVC by doing a few things. We built some folders called Models, Views, and Controllers. And then we went to our program CS file and we told it we were going to use Controllers with Views, which is MVC. This is MVC. It's telling .NET to use MVC. We added in this information about routing to say, when the user types in this specific address, let's go here. Or it's not just when the user types it in, it's our links that we'll build eventually. We'll say, when they click on this, then go here and pass this information. When they click on that, go there and pass that information. And so we've set up this routing to say, currently, let's use the name of the controller and then the action. And so when we see something come in, it's going to jump to the name of the controller if this one's called home controller. And again, if there was another controller called blah controller, then it would jump to blah if blah was what we typed in, slash, and then the name of the action. So in this case, index or fan mail, which are named corresponding to those view names. And then currently we're not doing anything other than just saying, yeah, give them that view of fan mail or give them the view of index. But these are actions, like we talked about, and we could pass in, again, the name of the view and send them directly to the view that way, but it's doing the exact same thing by putting nothing in there. It's saying, well, if you don't pass in anything, then I will just use the name of the view. All right, and then we went into those views. We added a shared layout that is used by all the different views so that we can create one layout and have it be consistent across the entire website. We don't have to, every page, bring in Bootstrap over and over and over again. It's just on the page, and then .NET renders the body of whatever view's been called within this shared view. We did this thing with the view start, which we didn't do too much. Oh, sorry, excuse me. We need to have the view start to load up the shared layout. I should point that out because this is something that's missed sometimes by students. And so we do need to have this in there to tell it the layout we want to use is that shared layout in this file. But then we talked about this view imports, which we didn't really use. I probably ought to do a better job of that. So if we're in the index page and we want to do something with that model that we created called test, then if I wanted to access something with it in the model, if I didn't have this line in here, let's take it out. And I'm in the index and I want to do something down here with that model test. I can't just type in test. It doesn't know what that is. I have to say the name of the project, so my first ASP.NET blank project fund, so my first dot models dot test. And that gets really annoying before too long to type that all in. So I just say, look, I'm going to be using the models folder on basically every view in this app. Why don't I just take this statement, cut it out of here, and then go put it into my view imports. And that way, every page will have, sorry, I have to put my using. Every page will have access to that models folder. So now when I do that, then on the index page, I can just go specifically at test, and it will know exactly what I'm talking about because that import has been applied to all views. And so that's that. And so anyway, there are specific things that we'll use across all views, and it's nice to have this view imports folder to just load them all up so we can use them across all the views. And that was it. We converted it into an MVC format, that site, and obviously later on we can add database and do more with models and do all that stuff. But here's hopefully the payoff of all of this. You've been sitting here watching these videos for over an hour now. And you're saying, well, okay, so what's the deal with all this? If I come in now, so let me close out of this window. I'll save that, yeah. Well, I didn't want to do that actually. I want that open. Let me open it back up. So the blank project fund that we just built, I will leave that open. But I'm going to open up a new app. So we're going to come in here and come back to our main screen. And I'm going to say I want to create a new project. And I want it to be a MVC. So we're going to look for ASP.NET Core Web App, this time MVC instead of Core Empty. So just like we did at the beginning of the last set of videos, we're going to build, I like to type in MVC here and have it pull it up. So it's the C# version of Model View Controller app. And I'm going to call this one brand spankin' new MVC app. All right, so a brand spankin' new MVC app. And again, I like to leave this box unchecked for these, but you can do whatever you'd like. If you want to be rebellious, go ahead and check it. And then I'll say next, and then I'll leave it as a .8 or .NET 8, and I'll click create here. Now, if I've done things right, and you never know as a teacher, you do your best. If I've done things right here, in the way that, again, I wish someone would have, taught me when I was trying to learn it all, what you'll see here, you should now recognize. And so this is a default MVC app. This isn't a blank app like we started with for our last little example. This is a default MVC app. When I come in here, what does it have? It has a www root folder. What does it have inside the www root folder? It's got a CSS file called site.js. It's got a JS file called site.js. It's got the library folder with Bootstrap and jQuery and some other jQuery stuff that you can use to validate user input. It's all built in this default app. It's got a controllers folder. It's got a home controller. And it's got here different actions that are part of the home controller. It's got some model. It's got a model set up. It's got a models folder, and it's got a number of different views. It's got an index view and a privacy view. It's got a shared layout with the layout for this particular page, and it's got some other shared things that it's using. It's got a view imports file. It's got a view start, and we hopefully know what those things are now. And it's got a program CS file. Guess what the program CS file looks like? It's adding controllers with views. It's, I forgot to do this. We can do this in a second. Actually, maybe we won't, looking at the time. This isn't a big deal. This is just if you're in development, it does something different than if you're not in development. And we can add that in easy enough. I just missed that as I was going through trying to translate this. It's got use HTTPS redirection. It's got use static files. It's got use routing. It's got use authorization. It's mapping this default controller route and then running. Hopefully, now the very first time I went in and ran a .NET app for the first time, I was so confused because this is what I saw. And I thought to myself, I don't know what any of this means. Hopefully now, if I've done things right, going through step by step, you have some idea now of what all of these things are and why they're there. And that's my hope and my dream. And, let me know what questions you have or what was confusing in that. But that's my hope. We can now start with a base. And from here, we'll just jump off. We'll just use this default app. Now, this default app is doing, as it turns out, quite a bit. It's got all this shared layout, and it's got to hurry. Is what it's got to do. It's got all this stuff that's come along with it, and so we'll end up stripping a lot of this out. But I think feel like it's easier to strip it out than to put it in from an empty app. I think it's nicer to use this default MVC app to start our base from and then build from there. Okay, that was fun. Spencer out.